All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us on Drafty AI's first educational webinar, the first of a series we plan to offer in the coming months, all about how to implement AI into your workflow. This webinar is not going to be about Drafty AI. It's going to cover all kinds of tools, and we're using it as an educational medium for all the attorneys to come with questions. We're bringing our engineers to answer any questions that you guys may have that Nadine and I as attorneys can't answer. So go ahead and send messages. We do have two Nadines on the call today. So please, if you ask a question for either of us in the messages, make sure you use the last name or initials. We have a wonderful panel of speakers with us today. Nadine Heitz, as many of you may know her, she's an immigration attorney and tech guru. She has a law firm in Lake Worth Beach, Florida, and she founded the Technology for Immigration Practitioners group, which has nearly 2,000 members on Facebook. She also launched a really cool product with Monday called TIPSY. And currently, I believe the name is being changed to CaseFlow. It's a revolutionary case management and CRM tool on the Monday.com platform for immigration lawyers. Flavio Di Vera, I hope I'm not butchering your last name, is a partner and head of analytics at Clara Consulting. He specializes in data engineering and automation with a strong background in security. Flavio excels in managing complex data systems and creating automated AI solutions. For those of you who have technical or security questions, Flavio is your guy in the messages. And lastly, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Nadine Navarro. I'm the founding attorney of Navarro Immigration Law Firm. It's a law firm that specializes in extraordinary ability cases. And I'm also the co-founder of Drafty AI, as well as the chief legal officer. Drafty AI is a tech company that specializes in automating legal drafting for immigration lawyers. So without further ado, we're going to get started on our presentation. And I first wanted to get into what is AI, what's generative AI, what's all this stuff. It sounds scary. So first of all, I love to introduce AI by telling you you've got AI in your house for many years now. The odds are you either have a Siri, an Alexa, Tesla, Roomba, vacuums, Google Assistant, all of those things are AI. AI is nothing new. Now, generative AI is new and is why you keep hearing about all of this new AI products coming up in the legal field. Generative AI simulates human intelligence in machines programmed to think and learn like humans. So this is where ChatGPT and Microsoft Copilot and all these other applications have come into the mix, because it allows you to create new content such as text, images, sound. You could basically create things from scratch with this new AI technology. It works by taking data collection first, which is where we would prompt the AI and give it the information, such as, I want you to write a cover letter for USCIS on a family petition, and these are the details that I want you to include in there. And then the AI would be able to expand on that. It's been trained, and it is able to make predictions and decisions based on the data you give it, and based on the data it has access to. It has access to all of the internet, but not just that, but ChatGPT, for example, which is the most popular generative AI language model right now, has passed the bar exam in all 50 states. It's passed the medical exam in all 50 states. It can function and analyze exactly like any lawyer in any of the 50 states would, and be able to pass the bar exam. So Flavio, I don't know if you want to add anything in there, anything that I'm missing before we go to the next slide.
No, you were very comprehensive. Good.
Perfect. Okay, so I think Nadine is going to walk us through some of these use case examples.
Yeah, hi everyone. Great to be here. So what are we all using AI for? Some of these things I'm using AI apps, quick generation of first drafts. You obviously want to still have your output in your own words, but sometimes you can use an AI tool, especially like ChatGPT, to give you that first draft that you can work with and expand on. Automation for communicating. I use it a lot for email communications. We're going to get more into that as far as how to use some of the specific AI apps that are out there. Chatbots, we're seeing that everywhere, right? You're going online to a website and everybody's now got an AI chatbot. And amazingly, they're pretty good now, way better than they used to be. Scheduling assistance, so AI can automatically schedule for you, automated reminders, confirmations. I'm going to talk a little later about social media content creation, how I've been using ChatGPT to generate ideas for blogs and actual social media posts. Language translation and editing. Oh my God, that's huge. I'm an immigration lawyer, as many of you are, and you can use it for that first draft. Obviously, I always want a real human being to check over because I don't speak the language if I'm translating it into something, but it can give you an awesome first start. And let me know, is my volume okay, Nadine? Because I have this other microphone on. Are you hearing me okay?
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right.
Yeah, so we have here a list of some of the popular AI tools that are pretty easy to integrate into your existing workflows and make a huge difference right off the bat. Obviously, you have ChatGPT at the top. You could do so many things with it. You can, generate text for anything from a USCIS cover letter to social media captions, blogs, etc. You could brainstorm ideas, social media content. There's so many things you can do on it. You can create photos. For example, if you want to make a social media post, but you don't have a photo to share, and you want a photo of a family arriving to the US on a plane, you can tell ChatGPT, give me a photo of a family arriving to the US on a plane, and it can produce a brand new photo that's never been made before, and it's one of a kind that you can use for your social media. So that's a really cool feature that just started working not too long ago. Another really cool thing I love to use ChatGPT for, it can create PowerPoint presentations. It created this PowerPoint presentation after I gave it my input. So it's extremely useful, saves a ton of time for especially text generation. The other really useful tool, if you guys are Microsoft users, Microsoft Copilot has a product that's built in to their features. So that is kind of similar to ChatGPT. I haven't personally, I'm not a Microsoft person myself. I haven't personally used it, but we did have a really great demo, Nadine, at the AILA National Conference. And it's crazy the stuff it can do on Microsoft Copilot. You can go in and ask it, when was the last time I talked to so-and-so, and summarize all of the conversations that we've had. And it goes through your email and tells you every conversation you've had. What was it about? What was the last time you touched base? You can basically interview the AI about the content of your email if you're using Microsoft email. Another tool I really love is Ghostwrite. And we're going to be sharing the links to some of these tools in the later part of the presentation so that when I send out the email, you guys can go look at those if you like. Ghostwrite is really cool. It's a plugin you can add to your existing email, either Outlook or G Suite email. And it pretty much automates the email drafting process. You go in and it's a little box that would be under the subject line of the email when you create an email. And you would tell it in a prompt, let this client know I'm available at 2 p.m. and send him my Calendly link. And here's the link. And it creates the full email to the client. Hi, so-and-so, thank you for reaching out, blah, blah. It expands and sends a full email in any language. You can ask it whatever you want it to send. So that's really cool. And it also integrates with Microsoft Office. And you could use it, for example, inside Word, where if you're typing a brief, but you want some AI input on how to expand on this particular element of an EB1 brief or an asylum brief, whatever it is, you can ask it to expand on subjects, and it can also create text within Microsoft Word and just the Office tools. Another one I really like is the AI PDF readers. There's quite a few. I have a link for my favorite in a later slide. With these PDF readers, you can upload a 900-page PDF or even a web page. This is really useful for those extremely long executive orders that we get out of nowhere, or those proposed changes in the law that are hundreds of pages long and we don't have time to read through. With the PDF readers, you can ask it, what does this summarize what this document says? Does it talk about this topic? Does it bring this up? And then it gives you the answer, and it cites what page it's getting it from. So you can click and it takes you to that page where it's answering your question. So that's extremely useful for FOIA requests as well, when you have those hundreds of page long FOIAs. And finally, niche AI platform for immigration lawyers, Drafty AI, Gen, Imagility. I don't know how many of you went to AILA National. We were all there. These niche platforms for immigration lawyers specifically are built with additional prompting so that you don't have to do, like on ChatGPT, it's a blank text box that you have to tell it exactly what to do, and you have to know how to talk to it in order to get the right result. With these specialized tools, we're getting rid of that step for you guys so that you can just go in, tell us what you want to draft. I want to draft an asylum brief. I want to draft a family petition. I want to draft a motion, an EB1 brief. And you don't have to do the prompting. It's already done for you. So you just tell it what to draft, answer the questionnaire, and generate a draft from there. Nadine, do you want to cover this one?
Certainly. So how do we leverage AI for improving interactions with our clients, client satisfaction? One thing I've done in my firm is I have a lot of automated responses. So many of you know I love using monday.com. That's what my practice management system is all about. It's built on the Monday platform. And I have a lot of automated responses based on the stage of the case. So if a case is in my USCIS pending group, for example, every client in that stage of their case will automatically get an email from me every month saying, you know, hello, so-and-so, your case is pending, and it'll tell them what their case type is. There's nothing you need to do right now, you know, and then we include our link if they want to book a phone call appointment with us. So automated responses, not only for existing clients, but even for leads, if you're doing follow-ups with new potential clients, that can be huge. Enhanced availability for chatbots. I don't have an AI chatbot on my website, but there are apps that you can get. For example, if anyone is using the reception service called Smith AI, they have a chatbot as well as their live phone answering system. And you can actually put that chatbot from their system onto your your website, which is kind of cool. And there's lots of other AI chatbots out there as well. Data analytics. AI can extract data. You can create charts with AI. You can give it the numbers and it can create a chart. I don't know if you all remember, but recently when the new N400 rule came out that you had to have a certain income if you qualified for the fee waiver, it was kind of silly because in the USCIS instructions for the N400, they didn't even give you like the exact amounts. They just gave you the percentage of the poverty guideline. So I plugged in that percentage and I created my own AI chart very quickly. So you could do that for lots of other things as well, using AI to train staff. And well, we were just talking, Nadine, that Department of Homeland Security is actually using AI to train their officers, right? Yeah, we got that AILA, I think it was an AILA 8 message several months ago or something. And I don't know a lot about it, but I believe they're definitely using an AI tool. Tone analysis and redrafting of messages, avoids passive aggressive communication. Oh my God, I use this all the time. So if you're firing a client, or a client wants to fire you, or a client is upset about something, or you're upset about something with the client, my first instinct is, here's what I do. I write the email, just writing it from my, feel, and writing down all the facts. I plug it into ChatGPT. And by the way, I am using the paid version, so I can actually tell ChatGPT not to train on my information. So it doesn't, it's a lot more safe, I believe, and ethical. But I will plug it into ChatGPT. I'll just copy and paste it, and I'll tell ChatGPT, I'll say things like, tone this down, make this sound more sympathetic, make this sound more professional, make this sound more diplomatic. And oh my God, the answer I get is so good. I would have never written it like that. This has saved me so many times with client interactions. To me, this is one of the best features, because you're upset, right? You want to like tell the client to go jump in a lake, and it is now so much more nicer and calmer and understanding, and it works. A client responds, "Oh, thank you." Like, it totally works.
Absolutely. It's awesome. I use it for that all the time too, and not just for work, for anything. I think it's great. One of the most advanced features of ChatGPT is actually in the area of psychology, from what I learned recently. It's very good at detecting human emotion in text, and kind of curating based on that. So it's very interesting. Let's see, next slide. Did I skip a slide? Okay, so this slide is one of my favorites. AI used by DHS agencies. I have the link right here for you guys when I send out the PowerPoint, so you can take a look yourself. This is published on DHS. It's also on USCIS website. They have hundreds of use cases published right now. DHS is using AI for everything from HR to text and image generation, I-539 approval predictions, translations, verifying addresses, phone numbers, names, identifying topics and related documents in a case so that they can draft RFEs. And these are just some of the examples that I found more recurrently in the inventory that they have published, but it is fascinating. If you guys have a moment, I recommend you take a look. And if you don't have that long, I recommend you use one of those PDF reader apps, plug in the inventory, and you can ask it any questions you have, so you don't have to read through the whole document. I think that the fact that DHS is taking so many steps to implement AI is huge, and it tells us where the legal field and the immigration field is going as a whole, because you can't ignore the power of AI in making your life simpler, in automating a lot of those routine, repetitive tasks that we have to do as part of the job. And in reality, as attorneys, the most important part of our job that AI could never replace is being able to be there for a client who's upset about their case. A client that's calling you because they haven't heard back, USCIS is delayed in the processing, a VAWA case that needs someone to talk to in person. AI would never be able to replace that kind of touch from an attorney, and that's why attorneys are always going to be important, but it can definitely replace time-consuming, repetitive tasks that make us way too busy and unable to offer our clients those more personal services that are really what bring a lot of the ROI back to the firm. Okay, here we go. This slide, we have the links for you guys for some of the tools that we talked about already. Ghostwrite, ChatGPT, Drafty, and there's some additional ones. Nadine, do you want to talk about those? You added the rest of these.
Yeah, I added a few there. Ghostwrite, through your tip, Nadine, I wasn't using it before, So the way I was doing it before, if I had an email that I wanted to alter, as I was just saying, I'm, writing an email to client, I would use ChatGPT for that. But Ghostwrite makes it easier because it can be integrated right into your email provider. So whether you're using Gmail or Outlook, you can download. I'm using the free version. You are too, right, Nadine? I think you're using the free version of Ghostwrite, right?
Yeah, the email version, because I don't have
Yeah.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
have the additional plugin for Microsoft. And that's super affordable too, the one that you can connect to all the Microsoft tools.
That's called Ghostwriter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's Ghostwriter with an R at the end, and there's Ghostwrite. I'm using Ghostwrite. Yeah, and Ghostwrite is like a plugin, and it can be added to Gmail or Outlook. And like you were explaining that one before, there's a little pop-up at the top every time you open an email. So you don't have to switch to ChatGPT. You can just do it all right in there. And you can set the tone. It literally asks you, do you want this to sound professional? Do you want this to sound more I can't remember the terminology, but it's really cool. ChatGPT.
Friendly.
What was that?
Friendly is one of the.
Friendly. Yeah, it asked if you wanted to be friendly. Right. Ask you the length. ChatGPT. One thing I find with ChatGPT, everything is very wordy, very long, and I'm constantly telling ChatGPT, cut this in half. Like, that's my favorite thing to say. Please cut this in half. Please reduce this to one paragraph. So be specific when you're doing your prompt, right? Say, write me one paragraph, write me 2 sentences. Otherwise, it's just going to go on and on and on. Now, I know there are ways also, I'm sure, Flavio, you probably know about how to do this. You can actually create your own GPT to instruct ChatGPT all the time on your tone, right? You can make it sound like you. You can tell it to sound like somebody else. This is so cool. You can say, write a blog post about XYZ and make it sound like, I don't know, some other author. Like, they can literally copy other authors, right? Like, I haven't tried that, but it's kind of strange. So I'm going to show you, I don't know when you want me to do this little demo, Nadine. Maybe we want to finish talking about these apps, and then I wanted to do a little demo of how I've used ChatGPT to create, blogs and social media posts.
Sure.
How do you want to do?
We can do it now, but before that, I think I could hear it. I can hear it, even though you guys are muted, thinking, is Ghostwrite reading my emails? I'm not going to install a plugin that's going to be in my email, reading my emails. Who has access to my emails? So I asked Flavio before this to research what is their security and how the whole thing works. And are our emails going to be uploaded to the cloud? So Flavio, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I went through it. I was curious because it's a plugin that you're actually putting in Gmail. So I went in and I did my techie stuff. I went into development mode and I actually saw what interactions are happening between Gmail and Ghostwrite. And what I noticed is that Ghostwrite for sure is not reading your emails. They only have access, or they are only using the text that you're prompting in the tool. If somebody can show, no, let's do it like this because we don't want to show emails. Maybe I can show a personal one. But essentially, you send emails, and when you send an email, that thread is being sent to Ghostwrite. So you are giving OpenAI the full thread of the emails as context. So that's the limit of it. Ghostwrite says, again, we cannot validate it because we will have to audit the company. They say that they don't save it, and they just grab it and send it to OpenAI, and then OpenAI returns the answer. OpenAI will have access to all of the information in a specific thread, and ChatGPT and Ghostwrite will also temporarily, while grabbing your information, while grabbing that data, from making a prompt and sending it to ChatGPT, so it makes your email, essentially writes your email, they will temporarily have that information and then not store it because they claim that they are not storing the information. But for sure, all of your emails are not being sent. I went through all of the API calls that we're doing with Ghostwriter, and they're not using it for sure.
Perfect. All right, Nadine, do you want to share your screen and do the?
Yeah, I just want to answer somebody's question here, Flavia. Maybe you can quickly help us. Where do you tell ChatGPT not to use your information for training? I believe that's only available if you have the paid version, right? I believe there's a checkbox somewhere in the settings.
So that's only available, and let me see if I can share my ChatGPT and open ChatGPT settings.
By the way, there's also a Teams version of ChatGPT. This is another important thing. We're talking about ethically using it. Be sure you know what your staff are doing with ChatGPT. Are your staff using ChatGPT in their own personal account and putting all kinds of, sensitive data in their own free account? What I did is I upgraded my own ChatGPT account to a team account. It cost me a little extra, but I was able to invite 2 of my key staff to my ChatGPT account. So I still have my personal option, but I also have the shared law team option. So we can all use the paid version, and I know what they're using, and we can all use it ethically. I think that's something we have to be aware of. Do you want me to do my screen share, Flavio, while you're looking that up?
And I'll do mine for a second, and then you can take over. So this is our ChatGPT that we're using internally, one of our ChatGPT accounts, and essentially the Plus version, which is the current plan that we have, this one you're able to interact with GPT-4, GPT-4o, it is paid, but this version, you're still not blocking ChatGPT from using that data from training, this one Plus. In order to block ChatGPT from using your data for training, you need to be in the Teams, or you need to be in the enterprise version.
Right, team. Yeah, that's the one I got.
And if you got that one, then you can go into settings. So this is just our settings. And in here in the settings in data control, you will be able to turn off the access.
Right.
Essentially, I don't have it because this account doesn't use it, and us, just because I'm techie, I just use ChatGPT API. So essentially, we're paying for each time we interact with ChatGPT, and if I wanna talk to ChatGPT in something that contains some information that I don't want it to store, I just use the APIs, and it's easier for me.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Is my microphone on? Okay, yeah, that's a good point. With these, for ChatGPT, it's a point I should have made earlier. The difference with using ChatGPT or any of these open language models versus Drafty AI or one of the niche tools that are built with OpenAI is that we use the API key instead of just having what ChatGPT has, which can train on your data. The API key that we use is ChatGPT cannot train on the data that we send over from our software. It's a no retention API, and Flavio can talk a little bit more about that.
Correct. And I will do that later since we have it in the slides. But yeah, but essentially they will not retain it. They do keep it for some time, but they do not retain it. It's a no retention for API.
Perfect.
Cool.
All right, Nadine, go ahead.
Let me start presenting. And somebody else.
Yeah, so let me just quickly do a, okay, present now. So let me just show you what I mean. So I'm going to show you my screen. I think you can see my screen now, correct? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, I have the Teams version, which uses ChatGPT 4, but you can also use the lower versions if you want to. If you look in the top right corner, you can see that I have my personal account, but I also have my Heitz Law account. So that way my team can use the Heitz Law and I can know what they're doing and monitor it, but I still have my personal account that they don't see. So and then this is the upgraded version that you were mentioning, doesn't train on your info. So now I encourage you all to attend webinars whenever you can on ChatGPT, learn about prompts. It's all about the prompt. I didn't invent these prompts. I got this from somebody else in a webinar I attended. But look how detailed this prompt is here. You know, this prompt right here. It says, you are a master SEO consultant, blah, 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 blah. Provide 20 creative long tail keywords. I don't even know what that is, but you're going to see what that is. The potential clients for my law firm would search. And I specifically told it to focus on this green card through their U.S. citizen spouse, which is one of my key target clients. Be creative, blah, blah, blah. So here's the response. And look what it did. It gave me 20 creative long tail keywords. And these are definitely good ones, right? I mean, now, do I like all these? Yeah, maybe I do, maybe I don't. I can modify them, but look at that. It gives me a lot of them. And then there's another prompt that I wrote in. Now you're a content marketer and master of creating gripping blog titles. You're also an expert SEO consultant. Write 40 ideas for blog post titles. And it's then further giving information on common themes, you know, danger signals, why a problem happens. And here's some more context, all these things. I write in English. And look what it gave me. It gave me some amazing titles, right? 10 spousal green card application blunders you're probably making. Avoid these 5 fatal mistakes in your marriage-based green card. So now we have 20, actually we have even more. Oh my God. Yeah, 40 amazing titles. And then you take it even further. Now you're a master copywriter, and pick one of them. So I picked the avoid these 5 fatal mistakes. That's the one I picked. So now it's giving me an outline. I could totally take this outline and write the blog myself, give it to my staff, have them write it. And I'm just kind of showing you how cool this is. All the information you can get here, conclusion and everything. So isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible what it can do. And aside of social media creation, I also love to use it for recommendation letters. I do EB work. So for my EB1s, Ps, O cases, national interest waivers, I have to write letters as a neurosurgeon and as a crystallographer and as an expert in swimming and all of these things that are just difficult to grasp and explain through the elements of the law. So ChatGPT helps a lot. I'm not saying it gives me a final outline, but it saves me so much work in drafting these letters. I don't have a live prompt, but I think I can make something up on the fly. Let me see.
Yeah, the prompts are really the key. So there's so much information out there on prompts. I mean, you can get this info online. Flavio, do you have any other good resources for how to learn about prompts or
practice? I would say, yeah, like there are so many YouTube videos about prompt engineering. I would say try how to write prompts in a specific field and you will get them. In the comments, they're asking if you can share some of yours.
I mean, if you want me to copy and paste that one, the first one, I can put it in here so you don't have to try to, let me copy and paste the first prompt.
We could also send some after in the email, like in the where we're sending the recording to everyone, we could also send some prompts as an example.
Can you guys see the ChatGPT screen I'm sharing now?
I have to pin it in order to see it, so it's really small for me. I don't know if you maybe stop sharing and start sharing again.
Yeah, you're not sharing your screen right now, Nadine.
It was sharing, but it's like in the small screens. Let me try again.
Yeah, it's weird. It's in the smaller screen. Yeah.
All right, let's see if this works. No, okay. So this is a prompt I just randomly made up now. It's probably not going to be as good as the ones that I worked through, but I'm telling ChatGPT, you're a neurosurgeon, write a recommendation letter for Jane Doe. And this is important. If I'm asking ChatGPT to do anything for a client, I'm not going to add the client's name. I'm not going to add personal identifiable information. You know, you're using ChatGPT, and I don't like to input it even in the version that doesn't train on your info. This letter will be used for Miss Doe's EB1 application. Jane Doe has won the prestigious award that I just made up in South Korea. She has been recognized by the press. She's a published writer of a made-up article from Science Direct. Make sure you cover all of the relevant EB1 criteria in the letter.
So Nadine, will ChatGPT know what the relevant EB1 criteria is, or did you previously tell it that?
It knows.
Okay.
But just in case, if you're not sure, you can ask it. Like, so you can make a different prompt and you can say, hey, do you know what's the EB1 criteria? And it will tell it to you. And that way, you know if it actually knows it or not.
Yeah, so I mean, you guys, I literally took 2 minutes to write this. It's not perfect. I would work on a prompt for maybe 5 to 10 minutes if I wanted something more perfect. But this is a first draft. It put it together in seconds. It's talking about the significant contributions. It's talking about her impact in, the community. It's discussing what I asked it to discuss, and it's going through the EB1 criteria. If I do not like the letter, then I say, make sure you cover the following criteria, and then I specify publications, awards, and authorship. And the thing with prompting is you should always you shouldn't expect your first prompt to give you a perfect result. You work with it, so it will edit as you go. And look at this one; it even separated by criteria. And it knows to discuss benefit to the U.S., even though I didn't ask it to because it's an EB1. It didn't do an extensive job on that, so I might want to ask it to say, discuss further about the economic impact and the benefit of, the shortage in medical professionals at the moment, and it will add that as well. So with prompting, it doesn't have to be perfect. The first round, you read what you got, and whatever you're missing, you can ask it. It's like an assistant that can work in seconds.
Right. And you're using it for these petitions, Nadine, and I often do E2 visas for investors, especially Canadians. And we're starting to take the whole business plan writing in-house because, and I'm sure even the business plan companies are using ChatGPT for their own business plan, right? Yeah, especially when Toronto recently changed the limit of 70 pages, your total package down to 50 pages. And then you hire a business plan company and they give you a 25-page business plan when you're only allowed 50. Like, come on, so we're doing them ourselves now and we're using ChatGPT, and we can, just imagine how easy it is to just do a business plan. Of course, you've got your own facts, right? But your projections, all your little charts and all the market research and all that kind of filler stuff that the officer really doesn't care about that much as the meat and potatoes of the case. So you can easily do a 10-page business plan yourself.
It's funny you mentioned that. I had a Canadian E2 recently, and it's frustrating, these business plans. The companies charge so much money for. Do not consider the requirements of the filing, even if you tell them. And on top of it, I feel like it takes a lot of back and forth with the client and them asking more stuff from the client. And I built an E2 business plan for a farm that races horses in professional competitions, which, let's be real, these business plan companies would struggle to build a business plan. It's just so random. And ChatGPT did a phenomenal job. I can't say that enough. And I got to ask it, okay, I just want these sections of the business plans. I like to use no yapping. That's my little prompt for not having all that extra language that ChatGPT likes to be very dramatic and theatrical. And it did a great job. I was like, I need this to be 5 to 6 pages long, very concise, and make sure that the officer who knows nothing about horse racing can understand what I'm talking about.
That is so cool.
Yeah, so it's really good for business plans too. It's funny you mentioned that. I
Yeah.
totally forgot. So am I sharing now?
Yeah, I think we need to go back to your list of some of the different ads.
Okay, there we go. So
if you want to talk about Drafty a bit, Nadine, because I know there was a lot of questions about how Drafty works, so maybe you could just cover that off. It's one of the apps on your list quickly.
Sure. So Drafty is a niche AI tool for immigration lawyers, and it is able to draft right now an asylum or an I-601A brief automatically for you. What this looks like, you guys already saw what the ChatGPT result would look like, which you would then kind of copy and paste into a Word document that you're using. I'll show you what a Drafty produced document would look like instead. And let me see, where is it? Here we go. So instead of getting what you just got on ChatGPT with Drafty, when you click generate draft, you will get something like this. It's a working draft, sort of like your associate or paralegal handed it to you. We ask you the jurisdiction, is the client detained, all of that, so that we get this at the top. If the client has a spouse or children, that's considered at the header. And then it just goes through and gives you a full draft. It's a working draft. And it considers CFR, INA, case law, the standard of proof, procedural history that we ask you in the tool. And you don't have to think about all the prompt because Drafty breaks down the prompt for you and it asks you what it needs to give you this. So instead of you having to remember like what I was doing for the EB1, where I had to remember all the different details and type it in and make sure I didn't leave anything out because then ChatGPT wouldn't consider it. When you use a niche tool like Drafty or Gen, or I haven't personally used Imagility, but I know a lot of attorneys like that one. It's a case management tool. We distill the elements of the law and make it easy for you. So we would, for example, ask you the client details. When did the persecution start? Where? By who? Has he been hurt before? Has anybody he knows been hurt before? To make it easy for your assistant or paralegal to go through and copy from the statement that the client gives you. And then the AI can give you a more thorough result. So here you got an 8-page single-spaced brief followed by the proof of service document as well. So, I mean, even though, and we'll talk about this in the ethics slide later, you are 100% recommended and you should be checking everything. AI is not perfect. It's not a person. In fact, even associates aren't perfect, and I wouldn't sign anything that an associate handed me without checking it myself and checking the case law. It saves you hours just by giving you this. It's your first draft. It's done in minutes, So that's the difference between something like ChatGPT and a specialized tool that is built with attorneys in mind that only works for attorneys. So let me go back to our presentation and talk about some of the other tools.
One more thing to add in there, ChatGPT, our tool has, for the tools that for the document that she showed, essentially, before she was doing ChatGPT, where she had to say, oh, this is Jane Doe, and then hide the name. With us, essentially, we tackled that already. Since we asked you for the client information in a specific format, we're able to hide that from ChatGPT.
That's a great point. We also encrypt all of the niche platforms that are working with attorneys, encrypt and do extra security features because we know how important confidentiality is in the industry. Some of these other tools are really cool. I just recently learned about Tango, that one in the bottom. I actually learned this one from immigration. What's that? I forget the name of the company. But they help attorneys optimize their practice and implementing Immigration Finder, maybe.
Yeah, Ian Almasi from Immigration Finder. Yeah.
So with Tango, you can set the tool, you turn it on, and then you do whatever you're doing on your screen, and it creates how-to guides or SOPs for you automatically. It will take screen pics and then describe what you're doing each step so that you can then send it to your staff and be like, here's how you do it. And all you have to do is go through the steps yourself, and it automatically creates this document with screen pics. Loom is really cool too. I haven't used it a bunch, but Nadine, I know you love Loom and the other two tools on there. I don't know if you want to talk about them. What's Crisp?
Yeah. Crisp, yeah. So Crisp and Fireflies are kind of similar. I've been using Fireflies for a while. You might see a person showing up on your Zoom meeting, and right now I have my Fireflies.ai note taker. It actually looks like it's a person attending, whereas Crisp is different. Crisp does the same thing with a little more. So for example, Fireflies is great because after this meeting, because I invited Fireflies to attend this meeting with me, it's taking all the notes, it's transcribing everything, it's going to come up with a to-do list in the end. It's even going to say the talk time, like I spoke, 50% of the time, and so spoke this percent of the time. It's amazing what it can do, and it picks out all the highlights. Crisp is, I'm trying out Crisp now. Crisp does the same thing by summarizing and transcribing, but it is also cool because it is also a noise filter. It can actually go through your microphone. So that's why I was asking you before, are you hearing me okay? Because it's supposed to cancel out any background noise. So that's kind of the difference, but they are somewhat similar.
Awesome. What do we got next? Here, this one. I wanted to add this because there's so much, like, use AI. AI is great, but there are things that you shouldn't be doing with AI, and it's important to learn the limitations. For example, AI without human oversight, we know what that looks like. We've all heard of the attorney that got disbarred over submitting a brief that he did not check. Obviously, that's a huge no-no. Using AI for tasks that it isn't suited for, like making final legal judgments that can only be done by an attorney. Really, most of the issues come from failing to check, failing to verify what you're producing with AI. The same way there would be issues if you have a staff that didn't do something properly and you didn't check it. And there's, of course, the security concerns that we've been discussing. That is important for you to know what security measures the tools that you're using have implemented. And finally, I think this is our last slide. There's some ethical considerations that we wanted to discuss and safe use of AI, because I know a lot of attorneys, especially after the Florida bar had that published opinion about AI use, are wondering what our responsibility is with communicating AI use to clients. How do we communicate AI use to clients, etc.? So I think Nadine was going to cover this slide, and Flavio is going to also comment that's needed.
I recently, if you were at the ALA conference in Chicago, the panel that I presented on was all about using AI ethically. And there is a model rule on using technology, model rule 1.1. It actually says a lawyer shall provide competent representation to a client. Competent representation requires the legal knowledge, skill, thoroughness, and preparation reasonably necessary for the representation. But then there was actually a 2012 update to that model rule 1.1 that explains that there is a duty to provide this competent representation. And it actually said a lawyer should keep abreast of changes in the law and its practice, including the benefits and risks associated with relevant technology. So it's bringing the fact that lack of technological competence is not an excuse to violate the rules, right? Just like how we all heard of that lawyer that actually I learned later that he didn't get disbarred. Lucky for him, he got a fine.
Almost got disbarred.
Yeah, almost, right. He put out this big brief with all these citations, and the judge had their law clerk actually verify them, and they were bogus. So, and that was still, I think that was like almost like a year and a half ago. So there's there's been a lot of improvements, I'm sure, but still, you do have to verify everything. So there is a duty for all of us to know what the technology is. We can't say we didn't know. We can't use ChatGPT and say we didn't know it didn't accurately cite this, right? Obviously, using tools like Drafty, tools that are designed for verifying the data and have the data in the background that they're pulling from are much better. So we do have an ethical obligation to know of what we're using. Maybe Flavio, you could talk about some of the more technical sides of this.
No, the way that you're describing it is correct. Like, we need to know our tools. Of course, you describe it better for lawyers because you are one. But we need to know our tools. We need to know what they do. Even with Drafty, we verify the citations. We are constantly improving it. But even with Drafty, like, I wouldn't print a Drafty document and deliver it without seeing it. Same way if you wouldn't deliver a paralegal document, a document that your paralegal prepared, you wouldn't read it and just handed it to the judge. I wouldn't. You have to read it, you have to verify it, or make a peer verify. Peer review works great also. The advantages of Drafty is just being able to let us handle the anonymizing of the document and just the prompting, which is really complex to make a long document. It's just having to go over and over. But security-wise, you need to protect your client. That's why you need to hide the information with a Django when you're doing a prompt. With us, we store the data securely and use it when necessary. So only when giving the document to you, not with sending it to OpenAI. We encrypt our communications and we just make sure the data is safe. We store only what's necessary, and what needs to be deleted, we just remove. And upon request, you can just ask us, and we'll delete everything per your request.
Yeah, and on the last point there, the sample disclosure statement, the Florida bar has come out saying that we have to have informed consent from clients. Other bars are not going as far as that. So I like to add an AI clause to my contracts. I personally don't see using an AI software any different than using DocketWise or a case management software, where my client's number, phone number, email, all his personal information is in anyways. But the Florida bar is coming down a little bit strict on AI, but I haven't had any issues. My clients all read the clause in the contract. It's in the first page, and it just basically informs then our practice uses a number of tools, technology tools, to advance and be able to process cases faster for you. Some of the tools we use have AI components. And, like I said, I haven't had any single client complain. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and people that are very meticulous, and I'm sure they read it. They haven't had any issues with it.
Yeah, I just want to also mention that the subject that often comes up is, because I can do my case way faster now, should I charge less, right? So that's, I think, a personal decision. But think about the fact that, yes, maybe you have saved time on researching case law and figuring out, things that have saved you several hours in the case. But you may be able to take that time and, as you were saying before, Nadine, spend more time with your client, right? You still have to have that one-on-one interaction. You can now have more time to spend on other things. And also the fact of keeping up with the technology, learning it, being aware of how to use it, paying for the technology is not cheap, right? So you still have to pay for that. So this is now an added expense that you have to fit into the line budget of your budget going forward, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that, yes, now I have to drop my prices because I can do this part of the case faster. You're still going to think of the entire case on a whole. So that's something to think about as well.
Yeah, and the Florida bar, and regarding to pricing, what they said is that the lawyer must ensure the charges are reasonable and not duplicative in accordance to Rule 4-1.5. Now, reasonable is most of us charge a flat fee, being immigration attorneys. Reasonable is arguable. So it's not that we're considering the change in how many hours less we're working with AI, but rather, is the work that I'm doing for this client, including the work that I'm using AI for and the product that I'm providing for the client, worth this much money? And that, in my opinion, like, AI only adds value to my clients, because if I can prepare an EB1 in a month and a half instead of 3 months, heck, my client's getting a better value for hiring me. So, there's that. If you guys want more information about how to apply the opinion of the Florida bar and how to comply with it, whether or not you're in Florida, the blog post that I just shared, I shared to the second one, goes through each one of the rules, what they said in the opinion, and how to adapt in it step by step. So that's really useful. We used AI to analyze some of that, which is really cool. It's amazing for blogging. I absolutely love ChatGPT for blogging.
Yeah, it's great for summarizing. It's great for coming up with ideas. Definitely something that we should all be using. Yeah.
Awesome. And I think that was our last slide. So if nobody else has questions, if you have questions, we have about 3 minutes left. But I think we've had quite a bit of questions come in, and Antoine and Flavio have done a great job at tackling those. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us. I hope that this session was useful. Would you guys want us to do a future session on prompting or additional topics? If so, let us know in the comments. Yes? Okay. Great.
I just want to add,
yeah,
there was a question here. What is the PDF reader GPT? I think you were saying, Nadine, that if you have the paid version of ChatGPT, that it can analyze PDF, but I think you were talking about another PDF reader.
I forgot to add it to the favorite tools. So it's PDF. I'll add it later. It's PDF.ai, I believe. PDF.
There's a number of them.
PDF.ai is the one that I like.
Okay.
They even have a free version where you can upload one document at a time and it will analyze that. The catch is that you can't save it. You can only have one document saved in the tool at a time. But their paid version is super affordable. It's like $10 or something. It's
yeah.
So I highly suggest that for FOIAs, and or even if you don't use it for FOIA because of security concerns, even though I'm pretty sure they have a pretty good security protection on there, but I love to use it for executive orders, and you guys know it's about to get rough, so there might be a lot of executive orders in the future.
Yeah.
So
those federal register notices can be pretty lengthy.
that too, yes. Yeah, so it's PDF.ai. I dropped it in the messages for you guys. I'm going to plan a future webinar for just more practical tips, like maybe just a full session on prompting.
I think that would be awesome.
And if you guys have any other topics you'd be interested in us covering, let me know in the email when I send out. I'm going to send out the recording and the PowerPoint to everyone, okay?
Great. Yeah, prompting is amazing. I learned so much, like I said, from that webinar I attended on prompting. I think that's really the secret, is it's the start of it all, right?
Yeah, and prompting is really the secret sauce, and it's why you have all these tools that are like Drafty Gen, like all of these tools that you see here. It's a lot of prompting, and that's what makes it great. So if you learn to prompt yourself, especially for what you need, like I use my prompts for those letters of recommendation that save me a ton of time. That is, it's fantastic. So I'll put together a little prompt sheet too and try to send that out later. But I think a full webinar would be better about that. Prompting it's a whole class. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I'll end the recording and you have a great rest of your day.
Bye, everyone.
Thank
Have
you.
a great day. Take care.